The St. Catharines Museum opened a new exhibit recently. War of 1812 explores the city's connection to the war and its impact on the community. The exhibit was made possible through in-kind donations and a $90,000 grant from Heritage Canada. I understand this more or less began with an innocent conversation with Rick Dykstra. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's very accurate, actually. He called a bunch of us in to his office, had this idea that we should do an exhibit about the War of 1812, and why not have Brock in the museum partner? And so it started there and snowballed into what we have now.
This is the first time you've made use of the second floor of the museum for a display. What are your thoughts?
I think it's great. We've been thinking about it. Our advisory committee's been talking about doing larger exhibits in this space for a couple of years, and this was a really great test case to see how it does, how successful it'll be, and how it's received by the public.
The exhibit itself is a joint effort between the city and Brock University.
It's wonderful that we can play a role together with our partners, the federal government and the city, in making the impact of that war and the importance of that war to the history of Canada, to our identity as Canadians and Niagarans come to life.
It was just a great partnership to work with the city, especially with Kathleen. Kathy and I, we hired two Brock students to do the initial research, and we pulled all that material together, wrote the text, and worked very closely with the exhibit designers, getting the images, the artifacts, and all the materials together. It was really a collaborative process, and it was a real good partnership between the city and Brock.
And now that the exhibit is open, what's your reaction?
I think the exhibit designer did a great job picking the fort as the theme, and it leads a lot of opportunities. I think people young and old will enjoy it, and hopefully they'll come back more than once.
The display features touchscreen technology as well as 200-year-old artifacts, many of which were donated by Brock University.
When you're dealing with historical and ancient artifacts, such as the ones on exhibit here, they have to be put in a protective environment if we're going to preserve them for future generations. So there's always this tension between keeping them in a very protected, controlled environment, such as the one at the archives at the university, and putting them on display for people to see. And so there's always that tension between those two functions of an archives, to protect for the future, yet to provide opportunities for the public to come and learn by looking at the artifacts.
War of 1812 will run through to the end of 2014. In Niagara, you're watching The Source.